Hi, welcome back. This is PHP test-driven development for the advent of code. Today we're going to do day 2. The idea behind day 2 is that we've got a bunch of elves, they've got a bunch of boxes that they need to wrap, and so they need to order wrapping paper. So we're given an input file here that's on the screen that contains a bunch of dimensions for the boxes, and the formula for getting the wrapping paper area is it's going to be twice all of the side areas plus the smallest side area again for the slack, so enough to wrap around, cover all the sides of the box, and then I guess fold it over and make it work. So this time I'm going to go a little bit backwards from what I've done before. I'm going to build the puzzle runner first, and then build the classes in order to support the puzzle runner coming up with the correct answer. So let's get started. We've got phpspec. We're going to describe the day 2 puzzle 1 runner, and we'll run it and create puzzle 1 for day 2. So I should have a new source directory. There we go, and there's puzzle 1. So in this guy I want to make in this bit of code I'm going to make an invoke just like last time, and it's going to look like this. We're going to have a collection that's a new box collection, and we're going to have our input file, and I'm going to use the file function in PHP so that we can get back everything as an array. So we've got input day 2 input text that contains our full file, and we're going to loop over input as a box spec, and we're going to build a box. So we're going to say box equals new box with a box spec. So we're going to make a whole bunch of objects that we pass in the number x number kind of thing, and the box is going to be able to build itself with the right dimensions. And then we want to add the box to the collection. So we'll say collection add box. Once we've added all of that, then we're going to talk to the collection. We're going to say, hey, give me wrapping paper area, and the wrapping paper area is going to be saying give the collection and get total wrapping paper area. We'll echo that out. Wrapping paper area, and some nice new lines. Now if we run this right now, obviously it's going to break. We don't have a box collection and we don't have a box. For day 1 we started kind of, if this was the same design, we started from the box side of things. For this one though, we're going to start from the box collection side. So let's describe that one. So phpspec describe day 2 box collection, and we'll run it. Create the box collection, and now I've got another bit of source and I've got another spec. So we've got in invoke, we wanted to add a box to the collection. So let's make a spec that says we should be able to do that. So it will allow you to hold boxes. Okay, and we want to have a box come in, right? This spec is all about the box collection, not the box. So we're going to make a day 2 box interface, and all I'm doing is type hinting this thing, and we're going to say pass in a box. That doesn't actually exist. I'm going to use PHP Storm now to tell it to import that, and it doesn't matter that it doesn't exist. It added this little use up here, and we will write the rest, right? So we'll say this add box, and along with that we're going to have a get boxes method so we can see what we got so far in our box collection. So we'll say boxes equals this get boxes, and boxes 0, the very first one in there, should be box. So it should be the thing that we passed in. There shouldn't be anything else in there. Let's see what we get. So this is the new bit that we didn't see with day 1 videos. It says, would you like to generate an interface, the day 2 box interface? Yes, I would. I would like you to do that. Once we've built the interface, it says now we can build the add box for the box collection, and I would like it to do that. And now that it's done that, it runs again and it says, hey, I'm calling this new function, get boxes that I don't have. Do you want me to create it? Yes, please. So we've now got 2 bits of code that we want added in, and we'll go over to the box collection, and we've got 2 functions that we need to fill out. So I'm going to type hint this as box interface and call it a box so that we know what it is. And let's put in a place to store those. So we have a private value for boxes, and it's just going to be an empty array to start with. Adding a box, we'll just add the box to it. So this boxes equals box, and get boxes will be return this boxes. Simple enough. We run it and we're all green. So now we've got this box collection that we can add boxes to. Next we need to build, let's see, puzzle 1, get total wrapping paper area. So let's copy that guy, go back into the box collection spec and say it should be able to get total wrapping paper area from boxes, let's say from contained boxes. Alright, so we're going to have a couple of contained boxes now, so we'll do a box interface, box 1, and box interface, box 2. Alright, so we've got our 2 boxes. We're going to add those, so we'll say this add box 1, and put the right symbols in there. This add box 2, and we'll say let's see, we're going to do this get, I copied it, yeah, hey, should be, and we're going to have it add up the areas of the 2 boxes, but we don't know what those are yet, so let's make them up. Box 1 area plus box 2 area. What this is going to allow me to do is have some random behavior that I put on the box, so it's not really possible to fake out this kind of thing. We've actually got to have working code. But we need to add some functionality to our boxes. So we'll say box 1 area is a random between 1 and 500, and box 2 area is another different random from 1 to 500. And then we need to make box 1 get wrapping paper area will return box 1 area, and box 2 get wrapping paper area will return box 2 area. Alright, so we've got a box, actually we don't have a box, we've got a box interface. We've got fake boxes that we're going to pass in here for testing. They've got some behavior on there. They're going to know how to return the area of the wrapping paper. And we add those boxes to the collection, and then our collection should be able to tell us the total area of the boxes that we've added. So we're adding these 2 up here and saying that somehow it's going to get those from our collection. So let's run it, and we don't have get wrapping paper area on our box interface yet, so we need to add that, which is fine. We haven't written any code for the box yet. It's generating this interface for us about the methods that we need to use in order for this to work. And then we need a new box collection get total wrapping paper area, and we'll have it generate that. So we'll go back to the box collection, and we should be able to for each over this boxes as a box. And we'll get a place to store this stuff. Total equals 0. Total plus equals box. And I'm going to type hint this so it knows what we're dealing with. And these are box interfaces that are coming out of there. And actually, I can do this a number of ways. So if I do that, I get an autocomplete. It says get wrapping paper area. I can also go up here and type hint the boxes bit and say, instead of this just being an array, it's going to be an array of box interfaces, and I specify that with box interface and open close square bracket. Now if I get rid of the type hint here, it still is smart enough to know when it's unwrapping that array, get it wrapping, it's still smart enough to know what is in there. So we've got get wrapping paper area, we're going to add that to total, and then we're going to return the total, and let's run it. And it's working. So our collection now is able to give us our total wrapping paper area, which is awesome. That's totally working. But if we were to run our runner right now and say day 2, puzzle 1, we're going to get a failure, and it's going to bomb out because we don't have a box. So we need to create the box. So do phpspec describe day 2 box, and we'll run it. We're on phpspec, it says create the box, so now we've got a new spec and we've got our box. And I want the box to implement our interface, so we'll put that in here. Do public function, it will implement box interface. And we'll say this should have type box interface class. We'll go back. Now that I have class on there, it will let me auto-complete it, and we'll run it. And it'll say, you don't have one of those things. We got a box, not a box interface. We go back to the box, say implements box interface, and then tell phpstorm to add the methods. So we've got get wrapping paper area. We also need to build the box. We need to build it with the spec. So and by spec in this case I mean this spec, 24 by 15 by 14 or whatever. So let's go in here and not in here, it's test driven, right? Box spec. Whoops. All right, we have. We'll do it can be built with box specs or whatever. I don't know what to call this stuff. So we'll say this be constructed with 2x, 3x, 4. And we're going to look at what's inside of it. So we can do this a number of ways. We can either say, hey, we don't care about getting height and width and length on there. Some people argue against that. I don't really care all that much. Or we can go and say, give us the wrapping paper area from the box right off the get-go. But we can kind of have a little bit of a safety net and a little bit of insight into what's going on. So we'll say, let's do the getters for right now. So we'll do get, let's say height, width, length is what it is. Height should be 2. This get width should be 3. And this get length should be 4. Alright, so there's a lot of stuff going on right there in this test, a lot of things that phpspec is going to ask to build for us, and we're probably going to get a failure right here on the second run through. So this one's going to build a constructor for us. Once we have the constructor there, this one's going to fail because we don't have anything saying here's how you build it all the time. So let's run it and find out. Let's build a constructor. It runs it again. It says, do you want to get height? And now it fails because it says missing argument 1. So it was almost correct on where that was going to fail. So we can do a public function let, and this will run before everything. So we're going to build our box right now so we can build our other little bits here. And we'll say be constructed with 2x, 3x, 4, just because of reasons. And since we have that here and we're using 2, 3, 4 here, we can get rid of this. It's redundant. And we'll run again. And it says it can build box specs, expected integer 2, but it got null. So it's failing right here on the very first bit. It's trying to get the height, and it's failing. Now, normally this is why in unit tests they say, hey, you want to separate things out. You want to have only one, what's called an assertion, one test that's happening in each of our things. And the reason being is the first time it hits anything that doesn't work, like this line right here, it's going to stop and say, hey, we're done, we can't continue on anymore. If we separate those out into 3 separate tests, then we'll know we have all of these things to work on. So just to show that off, I'm going to get rid of get height that was just generated, and I'm going to redo this spec a little bit. Okay, so it can be built with box specs and get, let's say it can get height, it can get width, it can get length. Alright, so we've got our methods here. We'll get these two out of here, we'll move them down. We'll move this one down. Alright, so we've got our height, our width, and our length now are on separate tests, which means it can run all 3 of those. And we're going to get an offer to build all 3 height, width, and length accessors here. So we'll run it, build the height, the width, the length. It's built all 3 of them. We now have 3 failing tests because we have not implemented our constructor properly yet. So we need to go and do that. So our constructor is going to take a box spec and it's going to turn this box spec into height, width, and length. So let's use regular expressions, because why not? We're going to have a pattern. We'll come back and fill that in a minute. Our subject is our box spec, and we want to hold on to matches, which is our variable that gets filled out for us. It doesn't exist outside of here, but it's passed in by reference. It'll be filled out, and we can use it in just a moment. So our spec is going to have a capture group for our height, an X, a capture group for our width, and a capture group for our length. And then inside of each of our capture groups, we're going to have 1 or more digits. And I can duplicate that there and duplicate that there. And now we can do this height equals matches, and the first match, the first capture group is going to be matches 1, and then this width is matches 2, this length is matches 3, and then I haven't declared those yet, but I'm going to let PHP Storm do that for me. So we'll do declare field, and we'll go back down to width, declare field, and length, declare field, and it built those private variables up there for us. So we've got a spot to store those in. If we run it again, nothing's still working. We've put stuff in there, but our getters aren't actually working. So let's fill that out, and instead of writing this code, which isn't going to take that long, I can do have PHP Storm generate the getters for me for all 3, and it's automatically filled out. It figured all that fun stuff out. We'll run it, and we have it's expecting integers, but we got strings. So we need to do a little bit of casting here. So we'll throw in some int casts. And we'll run again, and everything's happy. So we've now got our box is being built correctly. So now we need to get our wrapping paper area. Okay, so we want to have some tests for that. So we'll go back to the box spec, and we'll say it can calculate wrapping paper area. Okay, and we're going to use, again, just to start off with this 2x3x4 example box. And we'll say this get wrapping, what did I call this thing? Let's look at the interface. Get wrapping paper area. This get wrapping paper area, and according to the example, the wrapping paper area should be 58. That includes the slack and the sides and everything else. So if we run that, it fails. So not a huge surprise. We need to go and implement that thing. So let's go back into our box. So we could implement this all. We could implement this all with a particular formula, but in my case, I think I want to do it by getting the height and the width and the length, or the sides, the top and the front and the side, or whatever, right? So let's do that. We'll say, and I'm going to do this a little bit weird, and the reason why I'm writing code now is the rest of these things, the getting areas, not anything that we need to expose publicly, at least not for this problem. So I'm going to do it all within private methods, and we don't test our private methods. That's our own implementation. We get to do whatever we want there. So let's do side areas, and we're going to do an array. And we'll do this get front area, this get side area, this get top area. All right, so none of those things exist, and that's okay. I'm writing out kind of how I want this to work, just kind of like how I did before with puzzle 1. I built it even though we didn't have any code that would make it work, and we're going to go back in and build code that will make this all work. So I've got my side area, my front area, my top area. They're all in an array, and there's a reason for that. First of all, I need to total up each of these, and then we need to double it, and then I need to find out the smallest one and add that again. So my formula for this is going to be, let's see, total area equals 2 times array sum of side areas. Let's rename that because it's bugging me. Side areas. Array sum of side area plus the minimum number that's in side areas. Right? So that's going to be the smallest side, and we're going to return total area. So this function's actually done, but I don't have any of these. So let's generate those. We'll add the method. So our front area, that's going to be return the height. So this height times this width. Alright, and we'll generate the next one, get side area. Side area is going to be our height, again, times the length. And the last one, get top area. We'll generate that again, add method, and it's going to be this length times this width. Alright, with that in place, let's see if that works. And that works. That's means I didn't mess up my constructor order or anything else. So I've now got a box that will give us the amount of wrapping paper, and just for sanity's sake, let's go back into the box spec, and we're going to add in the other example that they gave. So say it can calculate wrapping paper for skinny boxes. And so make a new box, this be constructed with, and it's going to be a 1 by 1 by 10, and this get wrapping paper, let's paste that in, get wrapping paper area should be, and this one is 43 square feet with the surface area plus the side, and it's still working. So now I've got my box is working, my box collection is working. Unless I've forgotten anything, this might be all we need in order for this thing to run. So let's give it a shot. Day 2, puzzle 1, and I've got 1598415, and according to Advent of Code, my first answer was 1598415. So that works, and we are done. Hopefully I'll have part 2 up here shortly. I'm planning on recording it as soon as I get this one exported, but thanks for joining me.